see in the Gaylord Hotel's Music City Bowl. This game is brought to you in stunning high definition by Philips. Two teams appearing in their fourth straight bowl games. The Virginia Cavaliers from the ACC and the Big Ten's Minnesota Golden Gophers, who won this bowl game last year. Hi everybody, I'm Dave Pasch. Joining me shortly will be Rod Gilmore, Trevor Matich, and Stacey Dale Schumann. Well, a tale of two coaching staffs. One coaching staff is shorthanded, the other might be short on time. Al Groh at Virginia has lost both of his coordinators. They are leaving for other schools to become head coaches. Meanwhile, Glenn Mason at Minnesota has 1 year left on his current deal. He is renegotiating that contract and hopes to have it extended. However, the assistant coaches for Mason, their deals are up at midnight tomorrow, and if Mason's deal isn't restructured by then, his assistants will be notified that they will not be brought back, and that could impact the status of Mason's deal. And my question for you, Rod Gilmore, is which team is more impacted by that off-the-field news in this game here today?
Well, I think it really affects Virginia when you look at their situation. They've lost some brain power in their game planning by losing both coordinators, and that's significant. The free exchange of ideas is gone. And then as a practical matter, they might have problems getting plays in and out of the huddle. I wouldn't be surprised to see a delay of game or a forced timeout call just to deal with that situation. But they can overcome those problems if they get a great performance out of one of their great players. They've got an outstanding quarterback in Marques Hagins. He is creative. He's healthy for the first time all season. He likes to scramble, and he can make plays. So he can be a real impact for them today. And, Trevor, I still wonder about the impact, though, Glenn Mason's situation on Minnesota.
Well, it has a big impact, in part because if he's not back, the whole organization gets completely restructured next year. What effect does that have on young players prepping for a bowl game? Also, the assistant coaches, they've soldiered through preparations for this bowl, not knowing if they will have a job at Minnesota next year or a job anywhere next year. And players' most intimate personal relationship within an organization are with their assistant coach. They spend the most time with them. They're the father figure for them, and you know that that has got to affect preparation. And guys, when you've got young players combined with distractions in preparation, very often you can have big plays happen because of mistakes. Now, one guy we expect big plays from in Minnesota, not because of mistakes, but because of excellence, is Laurence Maroney, their first team all Big Ten running back. He's only a junior, thinking about leaving for the NFL, but with what's happening with the coaches right now, this will be an audition in his mind for the NFL because he might be more likely to leave.
And there are some pretty good stories today, guys, involving the players, and with one story in particular, here's Stacey Dale Schumann.
Well, Dave, this could be a very special day for running back Wally Lundy. And what will be his last game? He's just 2 touchdowns away from breaking the all-time ACC touchdown record of 51, set back about 30 years ago. But what's really remarkable is the plight he's taken to get here. The youngest of 4 orphans. He lost both parents to cancer and stroke as a kid, nearly lost his own life at 13 because of major stomach complications. He's clearly healthy now. His perseverance is remarkable, and he has a chance to make history today, Dave.
And Lundy, coached by Al Groh, recruited Lundy and has done a pretty good job here at Virginia. He is 2-1 in bowl games. This is their 4th straight bowl game. They lost in the MPC Computers Bowl last year in overtime to Fresno State. And there is Glenn Mason in his 9th year at Minnesota. He's won the last 3 bowls, twice here in Nashville at the Music City Bowl. Virginia will kick off and Minnesota will receive. And Jakari Wallace will take a knee, and the Golden Gophers will start at the 20-yard line. Well, the key to Minnesota's number 2 rushing attack, Trevor mentioned Laurence Maroney. They also have a pretty darn good offensive line. The center, Greg Esslinger, is the Outland Trophy winner. Set of scrimmage left guard, a second-team All-American, along with Scheidel, Nicholson, and Brinkhouse. Matt Spade, first-team Big Ten tight end with Ernie Wheelwright and Logan Payne. And Laurence Maroney, third-team All-American, 1,355 yards, joined in the backfield by Justin Valentine. And quarterback Brian Cupido, who is capable of big games. He put up 396 yards passing earlier this year against Ohio State. The play clock down to 1 on Minnesota's first play. They get it away, and it's a play fake. And Cupido, trying to get back to the line of scrimmage, is going to get stopped at the 19-yard line. Ron Darden and Kai Parham team up to make the tackle. And speaking of Darden, he is starting today at nose tackle because the normal starter, Kwaku Robinson, is suspended because of academics. Chris Long and Brennan Schmidt. Parham and Appleby, along with Dias, and Sinton in the linebacking core for Virginia. Gorham and Hamilton at cornerback. Hamilton, a second-team All-ACC. Glaspie and Jackson, who is starting for the suspended Tony Franklin at free safety. So on 2nd and 10, a pitch to Maroney. He has tremendous speed and also pretty physical at 210 pounds. Takes a lot of hits. And he throws Jamal Jackson aside there as he picks up about 3 yards in the play.
Interesting matchup when you look at this defense. Virginia, we expected to have a great defense this year, but they've been thin, a lot of injuries. One of their great players is not playing today. Brooks is not with them. Ahmad Brooks was expected to be an All-American this year. Has missed most of the season.
Yeah, with a back injury. Franklin, as we mentioned, out due to suspension, and Kwaku Robinson suspended for academics. On 3rd and 5, Cupido has a first down as it's caught at the 37-yard line by Ernie Wheelwright. Had 30 catches during the regular year. Moved the chains for the Golden Gophers on their opening drive.
There you see a shot of Al Groh, who's calling the defensive plays on the sideline today. First time he's done that this year.
Here's Maroney trying to pick all, had to leapfrog one of his teammates and gets to the 38-yard line. Only a yard on that play.
When you talk about Al Groh having to call defensive plays, his defensive coordinator Al Golden is now gone to be the head coach at Temple University, and so he has come down from his role as a mediator of everything to a play calling role. In addition to that, he's coaching the linebacker
and the secondary. He's coaching 2 positions, coordinating the defense, and he's the head coach. Maroney on the carry, and he's trying to bounce it to the outside. That is where he is so good. Inside the 15-yard line and pushed out a play by Jamal Jackson. That play was going nowhere, and Maroney turned it into about a 20-yard gain.
There's the play you call, and there's the play you actually make. Watch 22 when the first play is stopped dead. He sees nothing there, and watch him come all the way back around. He'll see that great vision, sees it to the outside, has lateral movement, quickness to get outside.
That's a 22-yard pickup. You know, in talking to NFL scouts, they've got Setterstrom and Esslinger, the left guard and center respectively, listed as second-day draft picks. And scouts will tell you the biggest reason for Minnesota's rushing success is that man right there with the football, Maroney. And again, terrific lateral quickness, excellent feet as he gets to the 11-yard line. Got 4 yards on the play.
Yeah, as we were getting ready for the broadcast, we chatted with the scout for the Denver Broncos, a couple of other guys, and they're here to see a number of players, but everyone is really intrigued with Maroney. Should he come out, they think he could be a first-round pick.
What's interesting is Bill Polian, the Colts GM, is here. Now, normally GMs don't come to bowl games unless there is a first-round draft pick. DeBrickshaw Ferguson for Virginia is going to be a top 10 pick. The Colts are going to pick at the end of the first round. You think they're looking at Maroney? Edgerrin James is a free agent. Here's Russell on the carry inside the 10 to about the 7-yard line. Got about 5 in the play. Going to bring a 3rd down and short. Parham and Appleby team up to make the tackle.
Well, when Maroney is in the game, you've got to worry about a home run. He runs a 4.4 40, but when Russell's in the game, you've got to worry about getting bludgeoned. This guy's got thighs that are 28 inches around, about the same size as a fire hydrant. And so there is no break for the defense from a physical standpoint when Maroney's out.
Have you been measuring fire hydrants again?
You saw the touchdown numbers for Russell. They love to give him the ball inside the 10-yard line. This is the 13th play of this drive. It's a play fake instead, and Cupido has a wide open man. It's Valentine. Touchdown, Minnesota.
Just the fullback out of the backfield, and when you have young linebackers down around the goal line, you have to pay attention to who the second receiver coming out is. And someone blew an assignment there.
Boy, a lot easier to have successful play action when you can run the ball, huh? And there were about 3 plays on that drive where they had terrific play action passes that were successful. Extra point is good. Maroney had a lot of rushing yards on that drive, but it's Valentine getting the receiving touchdown, his 2nd of the year. Monroe to kick off for Minnesota, and Virginia will get its first crack on offense. Johnson and Pierman back to receive. Pierman second in the ACC in kick return average, 37 in blue. And on a couple of hops, Virginia has trouble with it, and Johnson eventually recovers it at the 20-yard line, but that looked ugly. Pierman and Johnson trying to decide who wants it.
Well, when the ball's kicked where it's supposed to be, it's an easy decision, but that was actually a poor kick that turned out to be a great play for Minnesota.
Marques Hagins, one of the shortest quarterbacks in college football, listed at 5'10", but Rod, he's only about a half-inch taller than you. You said you were 5'9". I don't believe it.
I'll give him 5'9.5", 5'10". He's right around there.
And Hagins here does have a very good arm, and had a little bit too much on that pass. Montel Mines, the intended receiver.
Dave, let's go back to that touchdown play, a blown assignment by Virginia. Linebackers, somebody's responsible for the fullback. Nobody picks him up. Valentine sneaks outside. Was it 44 Parham or was it the youngster White, 59? One of the linebackers made a mistake there.
Well, Rod, you mentioned coaching staff departures. Both linebacker coaches, inside and outside, are off to other places.
Here's a running play to Relied Lundy. And he only gets about a yard. Nice defensive play by John Shevlin. This is a very tall offensive line for Virginia. The shortest happens to be the best. DeBrickashaw Ferguson on the left side with Albert, Barthelmess, Osbury, and Brad Butler. Deion Williams leads the team with 52 catches. Montel Mines, the other starting receiver. Tom Santee, the tight end, a Nashville native. There's Relied Lundy, along with Jason Snelling, one of the best fullbacks in the ACC, and Marques Hagins making his 24th straight start at quarterback, the longest at Virginia in some 55 years. And this pass is dropped by Deion Williams. Would have been very close to the marker, but couldn't hang on to it. And it is fourth. Take a look at the Minnesota defense up front. Montgomery and Lossley at the tackles. They're about 6'6" each. Lipka and true freshman Steve Davis with 6 sacks on the year. Shevlin, McKenzie, and Reese. In the linebacking core, John Pavelski, a former walk-on, leads the team in tackles. True freshman Dominic Jones along with Harrison Banks at corner. So Chris Gold will punt it on 4th down. Logan Payne set to return from the 29-yard line. And he is knocked down at the 37-yard line. Brian White on the stop for Virginia on special teams. Minnesota with the ball when we come back, already leading 7-0. First down, Minnesota at the Virginia 44-yard line. 24 catches during the regular season for Spade. And Kubido has a man wide open. Ernie Wheelwright inside the 10 to the 5. Touchdown, Minnesota. ...44-yard touchdown, and it's 13-0 Golden Gophers.
This Virginia defense is confused. And guys are running free all over the place right now.
Well, again, you guys talked about it. Al Groh, the head coach, having to coordinate the defense today because Al Golden, the defensive coordinator, is left as the extra point is good. And Groh is also coaching 2 different positions. They are shorthanded in the coaching department and shorthanded on the scoreboard, down 14-0. 6:48 to go in the first. A rare mistake by DeBrickashaw Ferguson, a senior who will likely be a top 10 draft choice, first team All-American.
He was likely to be a top 10 pick last year.
About 6'5", 290-pound left tackle. Been compared to Lomas Brown. Play fake for Hagins. And those sidelines are open. Byers on the catch inside the 25. Bumped on a play at the 23 by Shevlin.
Yeah, and if you're thinking this game is over because of a 14-0 lead, you got to understand Minnesota has given up more than 40 points defensively 5 times.
And that's one of the reasons it's so important for Marques Hagins to be able to do what he's doing. Look at Ferguson right here working on Lipka. Absolutely perfect pass protection. And this is one thing Al Groh talked about, executing like that so that the best defense for Virginia becomes keeping Minnesota's offense on the sideline. And in this drive, they're doing that.
You played 12 years on the offensive line in the NFL. How good is Ferguson, Trev?
At pass protection, he's as good as anybody I've seen at this level.
First down from the 23. Hagins again looking for the sideline. Oh, beautiful move. He can't get away. Oh, he did. He got away from that second defender. And then finally, Shevlin on the tackle. Lossley had him, but Hagins got out of his grasp. Let's bring Stacy in for more on Virginia's resilience that Rod was talking about.
Yeah, Dave, Rod said it. Don't count this team out. Al Gross said the thing he likes most about his football team in 2005, their resilience. Even though with a 6-5 record, they have always remained resilient through the rough times, and they believe in themselves here early.
They lost their last 2 games of the regular season, including a tough one to Virginia Tech, 52-14 to their intrastate rival. They beat Florida State and Georgia Tech at home this year. Hagins with a ton of time, and he's got his tight end wide open in the flat. Taken inside the 20 to the 19-yard line is Jonathan Stupar. And they are in the red zone, and they got a key third down coming up, 3rd and 5.
Ferguson has such good feet, he doesn't have to take a pass set back. He just goes directly out and blocks Lipka, and then Brandon Albert comes over and adds insult to injury. But that's one of the things that makes him so good. His feet are so good, he can employ more techniques than a person with lesser foot speed.
Keith Lipka, the left defensive end for Minnesota, was trying to karate chop his hands off, and that's probably not wise. Ferguson is a first-degree black belt. Here's Hagins on 3rd down. Deion Williams on the grab. Beautiful throw by Hagins, and it's a first down inside the Minnesota 10.
Oh, we talked about Marques Hagins being a great athlete who can make great plays. You won't see a better throw than that one. He had to get that ball over the defender and give it enough air for his receiver to get. He's going to his slot guy there. And watch him drop this ball over the coverage perfectly. Enough room to get to the sideline.
And Tremaine Banks, his starting cornerback, has left the game with an injury as Hagins play fake, and he's got Williams wide open. Touchdown. Pavelski, the safety, got fooled on the play fake, and Williams gets the touchdown. Seventh receiving touchdown this year for junior Deion Williams. And the extra point is good by first-team All-ACC kicker Connor Hughes, and it's 14-7 Minnesota after Deion Williams bounce-back touchdown. Nice drive for the Cavaliers. Senior quarterback Marques Hagins playing in his final game at Virginia. Perfect 6 of 6 on that drive for 70 yards and a touchdown. 13th TD pass of the year for Hagins. A very deep kick, and Wallace will take a knee. Kurt Smith hammered that one, and Minnesota will start at the 20. Kusek to boot it away for the 2nd time. And Marques Hagins is back to return the punt. He's got 3 punt returns for touchdowns in his career. And it's a fake, and Minnesota gets the first down. John Shevlin took the snap and roared past the marker for the first down for the Golden Gophers. A gutsy call at your own 15-yard line.
Wow. Wow. You talk about rolling the dice there. Just think about this for a moment. Had they dropped the ball, had he not picked up the first down or anything, you're in the red zone, Virginia. You're ready to score.
Yeah, Glenn Mason, the gambler.
Well, he's gambling the contract situation. He's gambling down here.
Midway through the 2nd quarter here in the Gaylord Hotel Music City Bowl, Minnesota, a frequent visitor to this bowl game. 3rd Music City Bowl in the last 4 years, and they've won the previous 2 times. Willie Lundy coming into this game a touchdown shy of the ACC record. He hasn't been much of a factor in this game other than a couple of running plays. But Virginia has a storm back to get within 7 points after Minnesota looked like it was going to put them about 60 after the first 5 minutes. Spate pulls it in from Cupido, and look at the muscle on the first team Big Ten tight end out to the 39 as he just steamrolled about 4 Cavaliers.
That tight end is more like a lineman. And he goes at 6'6", 270 pounds. He's to the right side of your screen. He's just going to come right across the middle there. There he is, right there in the center. And he's a big old lineman. That's not a tight end. That's a big lineman.
And as a lineman, he understands leverage. He ducked underneath Appleby as if he were blocking him.
He did not catch a pass in the Music City Bowl last year, as a couple already. Spate had a hernia problem a year ago. His father, Ken, played at Nebraska as a tight end and also played in the NFL. Russell on the carry, right through the center of the defensive line for Virginia and up to the 43 before Antonio Appleby makes the tackle. That's 6 stops already for the true freshman out of Virginia Beach, Antonio Appleby.
Well, you see Virginia trying to put a big guy over Esslinger in the middle to see if he can handle it. And you see on that play, he does a nice job with Darden, who's about 325 pounds.
And he drives him back about 4 yards. Only goes about 285. Esslinger won the Outland Trophy as the best lineman in the country. And so he did that because he can pull and run.
This is his 50th start at center. And Ellerson is wide open. Everybody got fooled on the Virginia defense in the secondary, and it's a touchdown for Minnesota. Somebody lost Ellerson, and it's a 57-yard touchdown. And Cupido has 3 TD passes already.
Well, keep your eyes down here on the bottom of the screen. See what happens to Marques Hamilton. He just comes up and bites on the second receiver and allows his guy to run right by him for an easy touchdown for Ellerson.
And take a look right in the middle. Esslinger, he's going to block Darden, and then he's going to cut Darden. That's a hostile dude right there.
Esslinger at about 285 pounds, not the biggest guy in the world. 6'3" is the extra point is good. A lot of the scouts have Esslinger listed as a second-day draft choice, but they'll like that hostility that they see out of Esslinger. They've had some problems back there, including Marques Hamilton in the last play, and he's a second-team All-ACC member. Michael Johnson on the return for Virginia. Trying to get the corner and then tackled from behind. Dominic Jones on the special team stop at the 27-yard line. Their offense has moved the ball at times in this game. Only 3 incompletions for Hagins, and 2 of those were drops by receivers. Play fake. Hagins trying to get away from a defender. Throwing on the run, and it's a strike to Deion Williams to the 40-yard line of Minnesota. John Pavilski on the stop downfield.
And that's on Hagins. Hagins created that play with his ability to scramble. And once he got out to the right side, a lot of defenders came off their guy. And that gave him the throwing lane for Williams.
27-yard pass play. Lundy on the middle screen. And he's cut down inbounds, and now Al Groh's going to call a timeout. He'll have 1 remaining.
Hagins, we've seen the development as a passer. Last year, Florida State put a spy on Hagins so he couldn't scramble to force him to win that game with his arm, and Hagins couldn't do it. This year, Florida State put a spy on Hagins. Hagins stayed in the pocket and torched Florida State for their biggest win of the season, and we're seeing that development as a passer here in this first half.
He turned 23 years of age yesterday.
That leaves him 1 tattoo shy of his age.
That's right, he had 22, which is 1 more than Trevor has. And he showed us some of them yesterday.
Tattoos and piercings, that's where I'm going tonight.
There you see a few of them on that right arm. 2nd and 7. Hagins in the pocket. The tight end Santee wide open down the seam to the 14-yard line. 11 seconds left. They got to either call for time or get up and spike it once they reset the football and start the clock.
Well, Minnesota was playing a 2-deep coverage with a great big wide open area behind the linebackers and in front of the safety.
Well, they're going to run a play. Hagins has got to get down. 1 second left, and they are able to call time with 1 second remaining. Wow, that was close. Instead of spiking it, Hagins took off, and he needed to get down. Otherwise, time was going to expire, and they weren't going to be able to set up for a field goal.
Talk about living right. You're living right when you manage to save that 1 second while you're running with the football. He figured it out at the last second.
And Hughes splits the uprights to end the half. A 32-yard field goal to cut the Minnesota lead at 21-10. Glenn Mason's offense really clicking in that first half. Some impressive drives. They're one of the top scoring teams in the country. 10th in the nation in scoring, and they've got 21 first half points. Al Groh standing by with Stacey Dale Schumann.
Coach, what have the sidelines been without the normalcy of your coordinators?
It's been pretty normal. You know, I've been a coordinator before, so I'm just lapsing into that role. So really what it is we have a coordinator when necessary. Just takes me away from the sidelines as the head coach for a couple minutes.
After giving up 3 touchdowns in the air, what did you tell your defense here on the sideline?
Well, what was pretty disappointing about it, Stacey, is what this team does with their offense is what we call a lot of hideout routes. It's not an intricate, complex passing game. They just try to get receivers, kind of hide them out, drop them in underneath the coverage. We practice against that all the time. That's not a scheme thing, okay? That's a mental discipline and focus thing. And so it's disappointing to do a relatively decent job on the run, give up those plays. The last one there, we're in cover 3. You know, that's what cover 3 is for, that vertical route. So we fell asleep at the switch, but the good news part of that is if we can correct the mental part, the physical part's doing decent.
All right, thanks, Coach.
So Al Groh, Stacey, echoing the sentiments of Rod and Trevor and their breakdown of Virginia's pass defense earlier in the game. Minnesota trying to win its 3rd Music City Bowl. Well, Minnesota might want to market the song that it's playing today. Offensively, over 300 yards total offense in that first half, and they lead Virginia as we get set to start the 3rd quarter by a score of 21-10. Dave Pash, Rod Gilmore, Trevor Banich, and Stacey Dale Schumann. Minnesota guys ran almost twice as many plays as Virginia and had 0 offensive penalties. Plus, Maroney has 90 yards rushing, over 300 yards total offense. What didn't they do right in that first half offensively?
I think they did everything right the way they wanted to. I do think that Virginia will be better in the second half. They've had a half of working without their coordinators. I think they'll settle down a little bit, but they have to get the ball. They only ran 25 plays in the first half.
And I think the key is going to be Marques Hagins. All Hagins all the time. The Virginia running game has been stuffed. And so I think his athletic ability at quarterback, Hagins now, running and passing, will be key if Virginia's able to come back.
Now they put Hagins in at receiver for 1 play, and he did catch a pass. Would you do more of that if you're Al Groh here in the second half?
Well, yeah, I think it really starts with defense, though. I mean, if they don't blow coverages, they have a shot at stopping the Minnesota offense. But you can't do much when Minnesota runs 46 plays in the first half. I mean, at that rate, they're going to run 92 plays. So they have to get the ball back.
Yeah, Rod, it would be nice to be able to tell you at this point how good this Virginia secondary is at covering, but we don't know because they've blown so many coverage that have given up big plays to Minnesota. Hopefully in this half we'll be able to tell you how good they are at coverage.
Yeah.
Virginia will start with the ball here in the 3rd quarter. Minnesota will kick it away. Pierman and Johnson back to receive. And Monroe to kick for Minnesota. Minnesota trying to win its 3rd Music City Bowl in 4 years and 2nd in a row. You think they'd at least let them wear the home uniforms. It'd be the home team here. Michael Johnson on the return. And he's going to get stoned at the 15-yard line.
Hagins pass complete to number 86, Tom Santer. Tackle by number 15, Jamal Harris. And 3, 2nd and 7 at the 19-yard line. And out to Lundy. Mario Reese on the stop. 83. 9 and 4. At the 22. Tackle. First down, Virginia.
Reese Davis with you in the studio along with Lou Holtz and Mark May. We apologize for the technical difficulties we're experiencing right now, but until we get the audio restored, you can still watch the Gaylord Hotel's Music City Bowl. Mark, Lou, and I will call the action for you. Glenn Mason's team, 21-10 lead in halftime. Opening moments of the second half, Virginia trying to get a little more offense going as they picked it up late in the first half, Mayday.
And it's important for Marques Hagins, the quarterback of Virginia, to generate some offense on this first drive. It's very important. Here they're running the counter tray, Reese.
You see, Wally Lundy getting snowed under by Minnesota defense has been maligned much of the season. Not much there for Lundy on that one.
Anytime you go wide, you must seal the inside. As you saw, the pursuit from Minnesota coming from the inside negated what could have been a very positive play.
Kyle McKenzie on the tackle for the Golden Gophers brings up a 3rd and 7 situation now for the Cavaliers.
Now, Reese, this is a situation where the offense has to get a little innovative. Al Grohl lost his offensive coordinator. I want to see what they do offensively in this game because this will show us a little bit of the future of the offense for Virginia.
Mike Groh's son, along with John Garrett, calling plays today. Here is Hagins, plenty of time to throw and firing it right down the middle. And he finds his man, Deion Williams, for the completion and the first down.
What a wonderful job of protection by the offensive line. That's where it all starts. It allows Marques Hagins the time and the vision to look downfield to his receiver. And on that pass, he had a lot of zip on that pass. What a wonderful job of getting it to his receiver, Coach.
If you'll notice, the difference is when Capito throws the ball, it's little delays, etc., which should be easy to cover. This was an excellent throw, excellent catch.
You know, Marques Hagins doesn't have prototypical size for a quarterback, but he does have the prototypical pro arm.
Yes, he does.
He can fire it with great velocity, nearly from one end of the field to the other. Some of his long throws legendary in practices for the Cavaliers, and Hagins has completed his pass again and again going over the middle, this time finding the tight end, Jonathan Stupar.
And I think what's key here is it looks like Virginia has found a weakness in the Minnesota defense. Right across the middle. Look at Hagins standing tall in the pocket. Throws it across the middle. 2 passes in a row. 2 passes across the middle. 2 first downs for Virginia.
Converted the 3rd down, then on 1st down picking up another one. So once again, Virginia going to work. Hagins has hit 16 out of 19, 178 yards and a touchdown in the first half. And now inside Golden Gopher territory at the 34. And it's going to be Lundy bursting through a hole and almost picking up another first down. It's going to be 2nd and short for the Cavaliers.
Well, they have good momentum now. They're into a rhythm. They're making things happen. Obviously, a good talk at halftime.
There is a flag down on the play. We'll see if the run by Lundy stands up. The officials discuss it. Make things a lot easier for Mike Groh and John Garrett if they can call the offense on 2nd and 1.
Foul. Offense, number 62. 15-yard penalty. It will be 2nd down.
Reese, you did a great job. We were enjoying it here on the couch, and we're going to step back and put the headsets on and get back to work here.
Yeah, and I was thinking time to go home. Let those guys finish it up, you know?
So a 2nd and 15 after that personal foul penalty on the dead ball from the 38-yard line of Minnesota. Hagins has had a lot of time to throw today, and he again has an open man. This time it's Byers inside the 25. Going to be close to the marker at the 23-yard line.
Well, you heard Mark May talk earlier about the softness of the defense. What they found was that 2-deep coverage where there's holes deep in the middle and the seam to the right side and the left side.
Now, it'll be interesting to see what that success in hitting those soft spots does to the front 7 of Minnesota's defense against the run. Up until now, Virginia has not been able to move the ball on the ground, but we have seen some signs of life from Wally Lundy in this drive.
And most importantly, they've been able to stay on the field. 25 plays in the first half. Now they've got to drive. They've got a chance to be on the field for a little while.
And David Lockwood's defense has surrendered 29 points per game this year. That's 77th in the country. Here goes Hagins again. Inside the 10-yard line. Dominic Jones eventually on the tackle. Playing his final game at quarterback at Virginia, Marques Hagins, very impressive.
Now watch him when he gets out to the left. He's going to see a 5, a 6, a 2. He says, nobody wearing a 52 or 62 is going to catch me.
And it's a 1st and goal at the 7.
That's Kyle McKenzie, the inside linebacker, who tried to take away the angle on Hagins, and that's a tough job.
And the last time he had a perfect drive throwing the football, Virginia got a touchdown. Hagins on the rollout. And nice pass breakup by the linebacker Mario Reese, stepping in front of the intended receiver, tight end Tom Santee. It's 2nd and goal.
They roll him out to the right. And what Hagins needed to do that time was to continue a little bit farther. Part of the reason for rolling out is to create the passing angle for that particular route. He threw it a little bit too soon, didn't get the angle. That's why it gets tipped away.
Oh, come on. Reese made a great play. It was a great play.
Okay, great play.
It was a great play.
That was a terrific play.
But would have been a great touchdown had he kept on running.
12th play of the drive here. 2nd and goal at the 7. Hagins, little fade pattern, and it's almost intercepted by Trumaine Banks, who left the game early in the first quarter due to injury, but is back and was on the coverage that time on Williams.
Should be pass interference, but this won't be called. Now look at this. Right hand, pulling him back, knocking him down. If a defensive back had done that, he would have been flagged.
You're absolutely right.
And Banks has the right to go for the ball, and that should have been flagged.
That is the least called foul in football, offensive pass interference on specifically those plays. Play clock winding down, and it's Lundy. A run on 3rd and goal, and Lundy's in, and he ties the ACC record for touchdowns in a career. Number 51 for Lundy.
The defense is all spread out, anticipating a pass to one of the wide receivers. That's the effect of the successful passing game on the defensive front.
Yeah, what a great ISO play with Kevin Bradley, the fullback, with a great block.
It has been a tough year for Lundy as the extra point is good. Battled a foot injury for most of the season. A career low 515 rushing yards, but it gets a big touchdown for Virginia here in the 3rd. Willie Lundy's 51st career score that ties an ACC record. It's also his 9th rushing touchdown this season. Kurt Smith to kick it away. He's got 37 touchbacks on the year, including one today. Maroney and Wallace are back to receive for Minnesota. Virginia only playing in this game because the SEC did not have enough bowl-eligible schools. Normally, it's SEC Big Ten in the Music City Bowl. Wallace on the return. Out to the 30-yard line. 50th straight start for Esslinger, and the man to his left, Mark Setterstrom, a second-team All-America. Here's Maroney going to get taken down for a loss by Kai Parham at the 30-yard line. That was the 8th play of the drive, all running plays for Minnesota, and Parham finally made a play for Virginia on this drive.
Yeah, first-team All-ACC linebacker finds the space, gets into his gap, and makes a big-time tackle. That's why he thinks he's ready to head to the NFL. A lot of scouts say he plays a little bit too high at times, but he's a tall guy.
First team All-ACC, 10 tackles, couple for a loss today. Cupido with the first pass play on this drive finds Wheelwright, who caught a touchdown in the first half. And he steps out of play at about the 23, got 7 there.
But Rod, as you know from playing defense, if you're a tall guy and you play tall, that'll get you a bruised sternum, and that's about it.
You know, and that's a problem for him against this team because they like to cut they get into you. They're smaller than he is, and you got to play with your hands and get down low against those guys.
Well, Parham already has his degree in African American studies, so it's not like he needs to go back to school to get that. He does have one more season of eligibility remaining. 3rd and 3. Play clock at about 3 as Cupido gets it away, and Wheelwright can't make the grab. Broken up by Hamilton. And Minnesota may go for it here on 4th down and 3.
There you see Wheelwright, size advantage, right to him, turns his numbers to the ball, just can't hang on to it. Well thrown ball.
Glenn Mason, in disgust, looked at his kicker and said, get out there. I think he really wanted to go for it, but probably the right choice here with only a 4-point lead. This would make it a 7-point game. And now we have a timeout called by Virginia. Again, Al Groh frustrated with players on special teams. They maybe had one extra guy out there.
Well, we talked about this at the beginning of the show about the mechanics of getting in and off the field and your calls and like and having issues.
Yeah, they had 12 guys on the field. That's what Groh was upset with there on special teams. Back in a moment. Back in Nashville, where apparently Elvis has put on some pounds over the years, huh?
Memphis is 3 hours down the road. You'd think they'd get a little better looking Elvis.
There's Jermaine Dias, who is the 12th man on the field. Luckily for Virginia, they called timeout. Otherwise, they would have gotten a penalty, and Minnesota would have a first down. Instead, a 39-yard field goal try on 4th and 3. And it is good off the leg of Joel Monroe. Monroe, who is not the normal field goal kicker during the regular season, nails a big one for Glenn Mason to make it a 1-touchdown game. Smart guys know where other smart guys play football. And I don't know if this is intended or just a bad kick, but it's taken by Therian Davis at the 12. Past the 25. And Davis all the way to the 35-yard line. Nice return before Dominic Barber made the tackle.
Yeah, I think those guys, Mike Groh included, are getting into a rhythm. I think the first half, the adjustment period was a little problem for them. And I think in the second half, they're starting to find how to do this stuff, and they're getting comfortable.
Redshirt freshman Cedric Pierman in at running back for Waleed Lundy. And Pierman gets met right at the line of scrimmage by Kyle McKenzie. A little popping going on down there on the field, only 1 yard of the play.
Well, that rhythm rod has come not with the running game, but mostly with the passing game. Minnesota's defense ranks 86th in the nation in pass defense. And so Virginia has found that rhythm by finding the soft spots there.
Virginia with 100 yards this quarter. Only 170 in the first half. We say only because Minnesota had 306. Hagins has been sharp today, and he is again. Santee down the seam, and the Nashville native takes it to the 20-yard line. Dominic Jones on the tackle downfield. Marques Hagins having a brilliant day. His final day in a Virginia Cavalier uniform.
Well, too deep coverage. Safeties are up here. You're going to find your tight end down the middle. A nice, wide open shot. And Hagins gets it right to him between the safeties.
This guy right there, 18, he's better throwing. First down and goal. Play fake. See, he is the better thrower. Touchdown, Fontel Mine. Second touchdown catch of the year for Fontel Mines, and the second touchdown pass today for Marques Hagins at Virginia with a chance to tie it. Connor Hughes. And we are even at 24 apiece with 4 minutes to go in the third. Fontel Mines with the catch. Hagins with another perfect throw for Virginia. Minnesota's defense has allowed Virginia to score twice in 11 minutes. Marques Hagins for the Cavaliers is 19 of 24 for 241 yards and 2 touchdowns. Is probably the best game he's played this year, and it just happens to be his last game as a Cavalier.
He's finally healthy.
Yeah, had a hamstring problem for a good part of the year. Jakari Wallace for Minnesota on the return. And a flag flies in as Wallace is taken down to the 27-yard line by Brian White.
He's getting the fans pretty high right now, trying to make them louder. And they're responding.
Final matchup between the Big Ten and the ACC in this game. It was supposed to be the SEC. The ACC looking pretty good as Long does it again, taking down Russell for a loss. Virginia only here because the SEC didn't have enough bowl-eligible teams, and they're earning it here in the third quarter.
Well, he's not as polished as his dad, but he has that relentless motor. Look at him chase him down, and that was just a relentless play.
Well, they say his little brother is only, what, 13 years old or so, and he's about 6'6" already.
And there is Marques Hagins set to return the punt. He's caught a pass today. He's back for the second time to return punt.
He's got another brother who's a quarterback. Imagine that in the backyard.
And that's the end of the third quarter. Terrific third quarter for the Virginia defense and also the Virginia offense. We are tied at 24. We go to the final quarter of the football season for both of these schools. Justin Kusek to boot it away. And Hagins muffed the punt. He muffed it at the 39, and Minnesota recovers.
Well, it's one thing to catch it in practice. It's another thing to catch it in a game when guys in opposite colored jerseys are about to drill you in the chin, and there are a lot of people in front of him. He doesn't get his feet up and under him and set.
John Shevlin recovers the fumble for Minnesota. And the Golden Gophers, who've won 19 straight non-conference games, including 3 straight bowl games, longest non-conference winning streak in the nation, take over at the 37, trying to get the lead back. Maroney with nowhere to go, and again it's Chris Long just throwing into the dirt at the 35-yard line. Well, I guess that's the danger going back to Hagins' muff punt of putting a guy in there who has not been doing it all year.
Well, I don't know about that. I think he just made a mistake there because he didn't track the ball, get there quickly enough. He caught one earlier, but it's like an outfielder. Instead of drifting to the ball, you need to go get to the ball. And he was trying to catch that one too low because he didn't get there in a hurry.
Maroney again on 2nd and 7. And the holes are closing quickly here in the third and fourth quarters for Maroney and company. They were getting about 7-8 yards a pop in the first half. Now it's 3 or 4 yards. Parham on the tackle there at the 31-yard line.
Well, Minnesota's going to have to change it up on first down. They're going to have to start going to some play-action pass or so. Third down, they still may run the ball here. They may be thinking 2-down territory here, Trevor, and run it twice.
Only 6 carries for 12 yards this half for Maroney after 90 yards in the first half. Maroney gets it again straight ahead. Keeping the legs churning, has the first down to the 26. Got 5 there. Tackled by Antonio Appleby. And moved the sticks now for Minnesota.
We talk about Virginia's improvement against the run. I think it really stems back to that fight that was not called for any penalties in the second quarter where both teams got chippy. And I think Virginia kind of woke up. I think they got angry. And I think the biggest difference in their performance against the run in this half has been they just are playing a lot harder.
And a lot to play for right now for the Minnesota players. Their assistant coaches may not be back next year. More on that after this play. Russell on the stretch. Run out of bounds by Parham, and there's a penalty flag down. There's Mitch Browning, the offensive coordinator. He could be out of a job by midnight Eastern tomorrow. Russell runs right into Brennan Schmidt at the 34. Got a couple on the play.
Well, the reason Minnesota wants to give that notice before midnight is that if they don't, they'll be on the hook for about $600,000 in contracts to a staff that might not be here next year. And they don't want to pay 2 staff if they don't have to. Now, this can all go away if they reach a deal with Mason, and it seems like they're a few $100,000 apart on the deal, and maybe also whether the money is guaranteed.
He's the 8th highest paid coach in the Big Ten right now. And if he gets 1-8, which is what he's looking for right in that area, he'd be in the top 5. Nice throw by Cupido to Wheelwright. And he's on a play after he catches it inside the 20 at the 19. That was a 2nd and 18 play. They got about 15 or 16.
We talk about what to do if the running game gets stuffed. You throw a nice fade to the sideline to a tall receiver, and that throw perfect by Cupido. If this ball is not caught, look where it will land, about 4 yards out of bounds. Well, you talk about the coaching, Rod, and the pickle that Minnesota's in is that this guy's an outstanding coach. He's won more games in the last 4 years than in any other 4-year period at Minnesota since 1905. He knows how to win. The problem is you've got to pay a guy like that, and the University of Minnesota is wondering if they've got the cash flow.
And they don't.
He's one of 4 active coaches with 2 bowl wins at 2 different 1A schools. Play fake for Cupido going end zone. Ellerson, he's got it. Touchdown, Minnesota. 23-yard touchdown, the 4th TD pass by Cupido.
It's the same problem they've had before, losing guys by looking at play action and then not getting deep into the secondary.
That's 2 TD catches for Ellerson in the game. He had 3 all year. And now Monroe on for the extra point. So Minnesota capitalizes on the muffed punt by Hagins. They turn it into a touchdown and retake the lead by 7. Jared Ellerson has a couple of touchdowns receiving today. A 6-play, 37-yard drive after a muffed punt and turnover by Marques Hagins. Al Groh coaching up the defense. Been burned in the secondary a lot today in coverage. Pierman on the kick return for the Cavaliers, and he has trouble with it. And it's loose again. It looks like Minnesota has it at the 23. It bounced away from Pierman. It looked like a Gopher touched it first. No signal yet. But Virginia has recovered. I don't know how Pierman got the ball back. It bounced away from him. A Gopher came flying in there, had a crack at it, and then Pierman somehow got it back. Deion Hightower had a chance for Minnesota to get it.
Well, this ball's about 24 yards short of where they expect it to be. And so it's just a free-for-all. It ends up being a scrum.
And Ellerson didn't think the ball was going to come.
First down and 5 for the 28. Play fake. And Hagins firing again to Santee down the seam. That pass has been open all day, and Santee's on the run. And the Nashville native is inside the 20. Trumaine Banks with a touchdown-saving tackle.
Well, when the quarterback knows what coverage you're going to be in, it's a lot easier to make the play happen. And this is cover 2 we've seen all day long. And Hagins knows it. What do you beat it with? How about the tight end down the middle?
Take a look at the safeties, though. Look at how deep they are. Even though Santee catches that ball on the 45-yard line, both safeties are 15 yards deeper than that.
Brickashaw Ferguson, the left tackle, a senior, due to be more than likely a top 5 pick. And first down and goal at the 7. Hagins finds Byers to about the 2-yard line. Tackled by Jamal Harris and John Shevlin.
And it's not just blocking, but it's the space. Take a look at all the space that Ferguson gives as he takes on Lipka. To your right, there's no quarterback. There's nobody there because there's a lot of air, and that's what allows Hagins the opportunity.
Those long, long arms by DeBrickashaw Ferguson. I got a question for you. Yeah, Hagins has been so good this drive. Can you give him his half-inch back so he's 5'10" again? You keep knocking him down to 5'9", 5'9.5". Give him the half-inch back.
If he scores here, I will. Second down and goal. Hagins going to change it up. They're 4 for 4 in the red zone today with 3 touchdowns. Lundy going for the ACC record. He's all alone in first place in career touchdowns in the Atlantic Coast Conference. And Virginia's within 1.
He cuts back right over the left. And who's over there but the Brickashaw Ferguson, the senior, and the freshman, Brandon Albert. And the combination opened up a hole that Lundy was able to walk through.
All important extra point is good. Wally Lundy with no touchdowns in his first 7 games. He's got 10 in his last 5, including 2 today. And we are tied in the Gaylord Hotel's Music City Bowl, midway through the 4th quarter in Nashville. That is indoors right there, by the way, at the Opryland Hotel, which has hosted both of these teams. They could host about 20 teams, or how big that hotel is.
Well, they had about 2,000 cheerleaders there for, I don't know, some kind of a Bring It On version of a cheerleading finals or something.
But mercifully, they weren't doing their cheers in the common areas. Imagine 2,000 cheerleaders saying "rah" at the same time.
Short kick, and Wallace ready for it at the 5-yard line. Wallace on past the 20 and dumped out of play around the 25.
There comes a time late in the season, especially when there's coaching turmoil, that it's up to the players on the field to take over the leadership that has been voided by the coaching turmoil.
Midway through the 4th quarter, we're tied in a Gaylord Hotel's Music City Bowl. Next year, it'll be an ACC versus SEC matchup. Russell is spun down to the 44-yard line by Clint Sintum. This is the final year for the Big Ten in this bowl game. Minnesota, a frequent visitor to Nashville. Glenn Mason getting his 3rd guitar. He was hopeful they might give him a piano this year because he got 2 guitars for being here in previous seasons. This is the 3rd trip in the last 4 years and 2nd straight.
Yeah, Cupido told us that he's got 3 sets of warm-ups, sweatsuits. They all kind of alike. He says, but the money's good. We get a little money here, so that works.
From the 44, 2nd and 5. Cupido has had success throwing it deep. Oh, broken up by Marques Hamilton. Logan Payne was the intended receiver. So 3rd down and 10. And this might be 4-down territory right now for Minnesota based on their position on the field. Cupido looking for Maroney, and the pass broken up. Vince Red got his paw on it and knocked it to the turf, and it's 4th and 10. Well, because they didn't get any yards there, they're probably going to punt it away. If they would have gotten a handful of yards, he might have gone for it on 4th and 5.
Yeah, you know, this has been an offensive ball game, but it may come down to, as we talked about before, a defensive guy stepping up, making a play. And Virginia, they haven't played that poorly on defense except for those blown coverages. If you could eliminate those, they'd be well ahead in this ball game.
4th punt for Cusick. Byers back at the 10-yard line. Almost blocked by Long. Had he put his hands up, he might have blocked it. And it goes out of bounds at the 3-yard line. Boy, it looked like Long had a chance to block that. I think he put his hands down. So Virginia will get the ball, but it will start at its 3-yard line. We're tied with just over 5 minutes to play in the 4th quarter. So Minnesota goes nowhere after picking off a Hagins pass inside the Virginia 40. They have to punt it away. And now the Cavaliers get the ball at their 3-yard line. Game is tied. Just over 5 minutes to go in the 4th. 2 timeouts remaining for Virginia. Minnesota has 3. Hagins with a career-high passing yards today, 312 yards. Gonna throw here. Chased out of the end zone. Oh, and he stumbled, but he kept his balance and got back to the line of scrimmage, eluding the safety as Mark Lossley and William Vandesteeg were chasing Hagins.
Almost any other quarterback is trapped for a safety down this. Look at this. Man.
Hagins did well to get back to the line of scrimmage at 2nd and 10 now at the 3.
Dave, much as you wish Hagins were 5'7", it's not about height, it's about stature. And right now, his stature is looming large in this game.
Hagins throwing out of his end zone again. A strike to Deion Williams for the 1st down. Boy, they weren't content just to run it out of there. They were on the attack. That's a gain of about 19 and a 1st down.
Well, this is big because Minnesota's chance right now with 4:51 left is to get a stop here, a punt into good field position, and then drive down for a game-winning field goal. By driving the ball out from the shadow of their own end zone, Virginia is starting to win the field position game.
Really spreading the ball around today is Marques Hagins, his tight ends, with 8 catches for 167 yards. They had 35 catches combined coming into this game. Here's his receiver Williams again. Nice grab along the sideline of the 31, 9 yards on the play.
The last couple of plays, Minnesota has gone away from that cover 2, and they've gone instead to playing quarters or a 4 deep coverage. That gives them better coverage. It takes away the wide open middle that they've had problems with most of the afternoon.
David Lockwood in his first year as defensive coordinator. It might be his last. The assistant coaches for Minnesota, their contracts expire at midnight Eastern tomorrow. A lot depends on whether Glenn Mason, the head coach's contract, is renegotiated by that time. Here's Lundy on the carry, and he gets the first down. The 34, 3 yards on the play, tackled by Montgomery. Minnesota and Virginia, Big Ten ACC at the Coliseum in Nashville, Tennessee for the Gaylord Hotels Music City Bowl. Minnesota won it last year, and 3 years ago they won it as well. Lundy has set the ACC record for touchdowns in a career, 2 in this game, 52 for his career. Hagins has thrown for over 300 yards. Cupido has 4 passing touchdowns. Minnesota with only about 100 yards of total offense in the second half after better than 300 in the first half. Lundy breaking tackles. Oh, I think he tripped over his own man. Brian Barthel missed. The center looked like he tripped up the running back, Wally Lundy.
What a story. This guy is healthy for the first time all season. Said watching tape of himself earlier in the year, he finally figured out he wasn't healthy. He had watched stuff and didn't think he was doing too poorly, and now he notices the difference to his health now compared to earlier when he had a sprained foot.
Stacy had the story in the open about Lundy being an orphan at a young age, was then raised by his grandmother along with his 3 brothers, and all 4 are going to graduate from college, including Lundy, who is off and running and stiff arms Harris before he shoved out a play at the 47-yard line. That was actually Pierman on the carry there for Virginia. Cedric Pierman picking up the first down for Virginia.
Boy, you see Harris's head get snapped back, and he's trying to talk about it, but look at that stiff arm into the face, and watch the head back. Now that's a legal stiff arm if you don't grab the face mask and if you pull it out, and Pierman did both.
So a first down for Virginia at the 47-yard line of Minnesota. This drive started at the Cavaliers' 3-yard line. Play fake. Hagins with a ton of time, going deep, middle, incomplete. Thrown into triple coverage, intended for Emmanuel Byers. But it looked like Byers actually had a step on his man.
Yeah, that middle is not going to be as wide open as it was before because Minnesota has gone away from the cover 2, leaving that wide open. They've gotten some man coverage with a little help inside from the safety this time around. There you see Pavlevsky coming over late to give some help to Harris.
Hagins going to change it up here on 2nd and 10. Play clock inside 5 seconds. Lundy back into the game, gets the call straight ahead and barrels to the 44 for about 3 yards. John Shevlin has had a terrific game for Minnesota. Makes the tackle.
You talk about Wally Lundy and what he's meant to this team during his career. He's meant a lot today with some terrific inside running, a couple of touchdowns to make him the all-time ACC leader, breaking Ted Brown's record. Ted Brown played at North Carolina State and for the Vikings up in Minnesota for a long time.
Had at least 826 yards in his first 3 years. Was hobbled by a foot injury as Minnesota calls its first time out of the half. And says he's at 100%. And we mentioned earlier that Wally is scheduled to graduate in May. His other 3 brothers already with their college degrees. 3rd down and 6 at the 44-yard line. And Hagins under some pressure. And Hagins somehow gets away from 2 Gophers. And he completes it to Byers for the first down at the 25-yard line. What magic by the senior quarterback, Marques Hagins.
Well, Stacy asked the question, who would step up and make the play? How about a senior quarterback who's had a great career and knows how to get out of trouble. Boy, quick feet, change of direction, and the presence of mind to find a receiver down the field. That time, Emmanuel Byers.
Mario Reese missed the tackle. You try to find a place to play him at the next level?
Oh, you know, he reminds me so much of Antoine Randall-El. When Randall-El was at Indiana, it's scary. I mean, about the same size, strong arm, quick, fast. I see him playing at the next level in a number of roles.
And you use him that way exactly, Rod, a number of roles to create matchup problems. If you left him at wide receiver only or slot back only, defenses would be able to zero in, but he's so gifted in so many different ways. You move him around so that in the huddle there are 11 guys, but the defense never knows how those 11 guys are going to match up in terms of formation.
They had to call a timeout there, so they have one remaining. The other timeout they had to blow in this game was because Virginia had 12 men on the field on a field goal try. Now, had they been called for a penalty, it would have been a first down for Minnesota. Hagins again gets away from one, now two. And finally, Hagins is taken down to the 25-yard line on first down. And now it looks like Minnesota is going to call a timeout.
I think that's a smart timeout by Minnesota. I think you have to try and preserve as much time as you can and try to get a stop and force a field goal attempt.
Well, they've got, Virginia does, the best kicker in the ACC. He's the all-time leading scorer in Virginia. Has kicked a 53-yarder in his career and has a 50-yarder this year. One timeout remaining for both schools. Here we've got 2 minutes and 2 seconds remaining. The game is tied at 31, and Virginia would have about a 42 or 43-yard field goal attempt from this position. And again, Connor Hughes has only missed 3 times all year.
You see the Minnesota mascot. He's struggling with this right now. He doesn't like Virginia being in position to get another score.
Minnesota was up 21-10 at halftime. Lundy grabbed at the ankle from behind by Van de Steeg. Only a yard there. Another timeout called by Virginia, or by Minnesota rather, so no timeouts remaining for the Golden Gophers should they get the ball back, which you assume they would here. Well, Minnesota has thrown the ball successfully, 4 touchdown passes today. Normally you would think of them as a running team, and here Hagins just going to try to stay in bounds and get it over to this hash mark over here. Reese on the tackle, so they'll come out with a field goal unit, and then Minnesota will have about a minute or so after the kickoff to try to go down the field. But again, it hasn't been just Glenn Mason's running game today. It's been the passing attack as well.
One thing that Hagins is going to have to learn is that when you're running to the left, keep the ball in the left. Don't expose it to the defense by putting it in your right arm.
So Connor Hughes, the all-time leading scorer at Virginia. He's missed a couple in the season inside 40 yards, and this is a 39-yard attempt. He already made a 32-yarder. And Virginia takes a 3-point lead. The senior out of Williamsburg, Virginia, Connor Hughes, makes it a 34-31 contest, and Minnesota will get the ball without any timeouts, and they will have to get around the 25 or 30-yard line, as Cupido has been successful today with 4 touchdowns, and his kicker Jason Giannini has a 49-yard field goal. Joe Monroe, who kicked his first field goal attempt of his career earlier in this game, made it. So something you have to think about.
I think there's plenty of time for Minnesota. You have to remember that Virginia's had trouble in their secondary. They've blown coverages 3 or 4 times tonight, and those have resulted in touchdowns. And I also think that Minnesota did the right thing with the clock, using their timeouts to force that field goal.
Remember, Minnesota led this game 14-0 and 21-10 at halftime. And it's going to be taken by Jakari Wallace following a block. And Wallace out to the 28-yard line. Good return. Look, so they took 3 seconds. Took 3 seconds off the clock for 54 seconds. That's why the Virginia fans were in an uproar, excited. Here is Cupido, and it's caught by Wheelwright, trying to get out of bounds. And he does in Virginia territory at the 48-yard line. 45 seconds left. Remember, Minnesota without a timeout.
That was a big big catch and run. They're in position now where they can take some shots even down the middle of the field because the clock will stop for a first down. So they can get down there, pick up a first down, and then spike the ball if they need to.
That was a 25-yard pass play from the 48-yard line of Virginia. Cupido hit as he throws. It's up for grabs at the 5. And it is picked off. Marques Hamilton intercepts in the end zone for Virginia. Marques Hamilton with his 6th interception of the season.
Well, Minnesota was relying on their bigger, taller receivers to come up with a jump ball, and they didn't have to. I thought they panicked there. They had plenty of time to continue to work down the field.
And we've seen the Virginia secondary go from top to bottom and back to top in this game. They gave up 3 touchdown passes in the first half on pure blown coverages. In the second half, when they've been covering their man, they've performed well.
First turnover for Minnesota in the game. And taking a knee is Hagins, and Virginia comes back from 11 down at the half to knock off Minnesota. Marques Hagins, our Capital One player of the game, a career high and a Virginia Bowl record 358 passing yards with 2 TDs.
And he came up with a big drive when they needed one to get Virginia back on top.
How about Al Groh winning this game shorthanded in the coaching staff? Both his coordinators, Ron Prince and Al Golden, leaving for other schools to become head coaches.
And they struggled in the first half, but as the game went on, I think they found their rhythm and they worked together better, and they had fewer problems, particularly in that second half when they found their rhythm offensively and they were on the field.
So Al Groh and the Virginia Cavaliers come into Nashville and come back from an 11-point halftime deficit to beat Minnesota. Final score, Virginia 34, Minnesota 31. Rod Gilmore, Trevor Maddich, Stacey Dale Schumann, and our entire ESPN crew, Dave Pash, saying so long from Nashville. Virginia, the Gaylord Hotel's Music City Bowl champions.